Hi everyone, I'm Levi Michaels, and today I'm going to talk to you all about makeup, which is a video that I thought about doing from the very beginning of my channel, but I kind of put it off because there's like a certain taboo guys have with putting on makeup. And then I realized I was being kind of hypocritical because the whole point of my channel is to like break taboos and just be real. So, you know what? I'm going to be real with you, and I do not have the greatest skin. As you can see, I've got absolutely nothing on right now. And I've got my hair pulled back because it's super greasy and nasty. So I'm going to keep this shitty little hat on until I do my hair way after I'm done with all this. But this is basically just a tutorial for guys. There's not enough out there for guys who have any like imperfections in their skin that want a natural makeup look. I know that when I first got into modeling, I was looking all over YouTube trying to find some like different techniques for makeup to just like add that like perfection element to it, that I don't have pores, look how pretty I am, model factor. But all the videos I saw were for girls, or the ones that were for guys I didn't really like that much. So I've decided now, after months and months of playing around, that I have what works for me. Please keep the hate comments to yourself. I know that makeup is typically a girl's thing, but you know what else is typically a girl's thing? Getting fucked by dudes. So we're gonna just do this. First of all, you need to make sure you start with a clear face, wash it, don't like cake. If you have any like dirt or oils or things like that that you're caking on top of, you're very likely to break out afterwards, especially if your skin's not used to this, which I'm assuming most of you guys aren't. So wash your face. Mine's clean right now, I just washed it. And then you want to put on a foundation layer. What that means pretty much is just something, it's like a primer with paint. You want something to even everything out, make it the same level that you can put on top of. So I started with this MAC Matchmaster SPF foundation something or another, but I didn't like it because it added this super caked look, very girl, like, you know when you can see a girl's makeup on her, and it's not like always bad, it doesn't look bad on them, but if you see a guy and you can see that makeup's caked on him, it really doesn't look good. So I switched over to a Makeup Forever HD foundation in 120. My hands are shaking. I always chug coffees before I do this, and whew, caffeine. Okay. Anyway, HD foundation. I use number 120. I don't know what color your skin is. Go into a store. I forget if it's Sephora that sells. If I'm wrong, someone correct me in the comments. But anyway, just go into a makeup store and tell them. It's becoming more and more common for guys to go get makeup, so don't be embarrassed about it. Okay, so I always start out by putting it a little bit right here, because your palm warms it, so says other makeup tutorials. I don't really know how true that is, but anyway, I start right there. It's a nice palette, and then I take a brush, a flat brush that's condensed. Ooh, look how much I'm shaking. Espresso. This is a 10. I don't know if they're all 10s or whatever. You can tell that this is a dude makeup tutorial. I'm not that skilled. I found what works for me and I stick to it, so. I take a dab of this foundation. I'm sorry if I get out of the frame, I'm using a little mirror. And I just do a straight line across my cheek. And then I sit there and I fade it out. You want to be careful not to go too heavy. You can always go back and add more. Taking a layer off is a pain in the ass. I've gotten a little more tan since I started putting this on, so it's a little lighter than my skin, but that's alright as long as you can blend it at the neck and don't look like you have a kabuki face on. Alright, so you just go around pretty much around the whole face and just add a little bit and then you blend it out. Don't worry about trying to cover up blemishes or whatnot right now with this. That's not what a foundation layer is for. That's what concealer is for, and we'll get to that in a bit because you can see that I have plenty of blemishes right now. While we're talking about it, never go to sleep with makeup on. It's a hard habit to form, to take it off, especially if you're starting this like way later in life, like most guys would be. But if you go to sleep with makeup on, you're like 10 times more likely to break out, so don't do that, okay? Going through the beard is pretty straightforward actually. Just go straight through it and fade it out. We'll go back on top of that later and make sure that it doesn't look faded out. but you definitely don't want that skin underneath the beard to be red while the rest of your face is a nice flesh color. That is a first layer. Okay, this is where it gets like different based on how your skin is. If that's fine and you feel good and confident about it, then great, you can skip on to the next step. If you don't, like I think I'm gonna go a little bit heavier just because my skin's a little broken out, especially right here. You let that dry a little bit, not like crazy amounts, but just make sure that it's not still super fresh before you add the second layer. Give it a minute or two. And then you can add your second layer on top. Again, make sure that this doesn't look cake, because like I said, this is just the primer layer. You've got stuff to add on top. So make sure that you're not doing too much too soon, alright? There you go. Alright, once you are finished with your foundation layer, you want to conceal blemishes, and I have a lot of them. So what I use is this Laura Mercier two-tone thing, which is kind of cool because if you get tan, which I live in California, so the summers I'm likely to change skin tones, you could just kind of mix and match until you find what works for you. And then in the winter I just stick to only the pale side. So you go around and pretty much just touch the blemishes you have and then kind of fade it out using your finger. You want to use your finger because apparently, according to the lady in the makeup store, the like heat from your skin kind of almost melts the makeup, and then you can like smooth it on before it dries out. I don't know. I just know she said use your finger, not a brush. So you use your finger to dab it on to blemishes. Mostly the goal here is just to get the coloration the same as the rest of your skin. You don't want to put too much because the only thing that looks worse than a big blemish on your face is a big blemish that's like caked over, especially if you're a guy. It's just really bah looking. So once you do that and you fix your blemish spots or whatever, don't really fuck with them too much. You just kind of want to blend out the edges of it, and then you want to set it with a powder, which I use this like baked compressed MAC powder. It's called Skin Finish Naturals. It's kind of expensive, but I like it. It works well. You want to be really careful with powders, because I have learned that if you put too much powder on, it is like, out of all of the things that you could put on your face, it's the one that shows up the best, and everyone will notice you have a powdered face. And you'll look like you came out of like the 18th century and you were supposed to be on the court or on the stage or whatever those people wore because you have this white powdery face. Maybe I should have gone with a kabuki reference because you have a white face. That would be a better one. One that makes me sound like less of an idiot. Anyway, so you powder this on to set this. What this does is kind of just like sets it throughout the day. So if you have oily skin like me, if you have oily skin like me, or if you sweat throughout the day, it kind of just keeps everything locked down. And also, when you're using your little flat brush or whatever you use to apply said powder, you kind of pull it down just a little. You don't want to like sit there and circle it on your skin, but it does help blend that concealer into the same like formation as the foundation that's below it. So again, don't go too heavy or it will definitely show, but that kind of just sets your face. So now you've gotten your base layer and your skin should be pretty close to the same color, or at least a lot better than it was. This is the part where we go in and we add a bit of a contour and a glow to it. So there's a lot of makeup tutorials out there for contouring that are like very specifically like contour makeup and whatnot, but I think that those are way too extreme of a look, and especially if you're not a professional, which most of you guys out there probably are not. What works for me is this MAC 188 brush and this Bobbi Brown bronzer. Do not, and gay boys are infamous for this, do not use bronzer as a self-tanner where you just circle it on and wipe your whole face, and then you have this dark face and light body, and everyone knows it does not look natural. What I use bronzer for is I take a quick circle, you don't want to go on too heavy, and then you hit it off or it will be super dark. And I use it to darken up my beard and add a cheekbone contour-esque thing. So basically, I just pull in my cheek. This is weird to describe. I pull in my cheek and then I make like a this shape. Does that make sense to give that harsh cheek line? Just watch. And that's it. You go really light. And you do it on both sides. And then you frame your face all the way around You can thin your nose a bit if you want. Again, stay super light with this. I know it may not look like it's doing a lot, but if you put too much on, you'll look like an idiot. And you can also use bronzer to look sun-kissed if you put it on parts of your face that are more likely to hit the sun. So if you put it on like the tops of your cheeks, or I like to put it on the tops of my eyebrows because they stick out a bit, it just adds a little depth to your face, which I think works nicely. And you can also use it to shadow your jawline, which is a really important one, I think. So again, you dab, and just go under, and under. If you're not liking the way that your beard looks, if you want it a little darker, you can just go back through and lightly brush on top of it. And it will make it a little bit darker. And that's it. That's what I do for my makeup whenever I wear makeup, which these days is pretty rare actually, since I started daily vlogging. I stopped trying to look perfect when I'm on camera every day. So if I have a photo shoot like I have tomorrow, this is what I do to my face before I go into it. I had a million requests for it, so that's what I do. I hope you guys liked it. If you liked it, please click that little thumbs up button or the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. And until then, I'll see you next time. Hasta luego.